Thursday, everyone. Welcome to the Plant-Based Morning Show. Feels a lot like a Friday for me because I'm on day 5, the final day of this prolonged fast. So I've been mixed up all week, actually, because Sunday was the first day, so that felt like a Monday. Had all the feelings of Sunday night dread, but I had them on Saturday night of the upcoming week. So it's just been that kind of week. But I'm in a great mood despite horrendous sleep. I'm going to add Doug to Instagram in here in just a second, and then I will get into some of that stuff. Not going to spend too long talking about sleep, but only because it relates to the fast a little bit. And then we'll just move on. We got a jam-packed show today. We have fun stuff to talk about, some questions from the Discord, or a question from the Discord, some other things from the Discord. It's just a good show. I'm in a good mood today. And it's the lightheaded fasting clarity, I guess. There is Doug. How's it going, Doug?
Matt, today is great. Today is a great day.
Oh, yeah?
I just had my dream work morning.
Oh, wow, okay. Doing
what?
Which
was to I woke up at 5, went for a run with the guys.
Okay.
Took a creek dip. Came home.
Despite the safety hazards and things,
despite the safety hazards,
okay. Good.
Feeling confident in my creek dips.
Okay.
Got the girls off to school. Had my first sips of coffee on the way home from school. In the car, rolled into the driveway.
What kind of coffee? Homemade coffee?
Homemade coffee from Dynamite, our local coffee roaster.
Good.
Rolled into the driveway, set the alarm for 8 minutes. Yeah. Closed my eyes, took a little snooze, woke up 8 minutes later, had a great coffee nap, and just fired up, came in and just started cranking through a bunch of projects that I've been kind of delaying on. So I'm feeling good, man. I'm feeling great.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. First of all, that's good. Always love feeling great, and we both feel great today. This is good. This is a perfect storm situation. Yeah. I don't think I would ever try to take a nap on a workday morning. I mean, I guess I do when I have these terrible sleeps, because I did today for like 2 hours.
Yeah, but you used to every time you took your kid to school, you woke up early and you'd go.
I still do that. Still do that. I guess I would never consider it if it was 8 minutes. I would sort of worry that it's just pointless. But I do appreciate every now and then, if I have 20 minutes, I'll try. And a lot of times I'll fall asleep for 1 minute of that 25. And I think I'll feel good about it. Somehow it will feel like a refresher. So I get what you're going for. I'm just surprised you'd go for it with only 8 minutes.
I'm the king of cat naps. At least that's what Katie says. And I mean, I can do it anywhere, anytime. Just the other day, I was at the playground. I do weird things at the playground, man. We had the whole family was at the playground. There was this kind of rock wall, and I was sitting on it. I was like, man, I could really go for a nap right now. I laid down. 10 minutes later, woke up, totally refreshed, totally great. I'm sure I weirded out some family.
Was there a headline the next day that said local politician arrested for homelessness at local park?
Passed out in the local park. No, that wasn't me, but that didn't happen. But I don't know. I love a short nap, and 20 minutes is kind of the max of a nap that I can take. But even sub 10 is just, I don't know, if I'm drowsy enough, I can just close my eyes, and 8 minutes is ideal. And then, I mean, honestly, like, I would have spent that, if I hadn't done that, I would have spent that 8 minutes kind of puttering around or kind of doing nothing. And instead I woke up alert and ready to do some work. And I don't know, felt great.
Wow. Good. Well, that's a great skill to have. I wish I could do that as reliably as you seem to be able to. But I definitely appreciate a good nap, and I see the value. Agree. If it's over about half an hour, it's the worst thing in the world to wake up from it. So, but yeah, the short nap, I'm all about it. I like it.
And the coffee nap that we talked about too.
Yeah. I've never actually, I don't know if I've ever tried that, but
you should.
I should. I really should.
That's where you drink a little bit of coffee right before you take a short nap. And then by the time you wake up, it's starting to kick in.
It wakes you up, right?
It wakes you up. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Good. Modern science, hacking, biohacking.
We got a great crew here today. We got Danielle P, Mr. Jeffrey's back. Welcome back, Mr. Jeffrey.
Yeah, I was wondering where Mr. Jeffrey was. He's been in the Discord saying things. He just hasn't been at the shows, and I didn't know what was
he's been traveling from the 50K.
From the base. Okay.
Jeff Hudnall.
Yep.
Mr. Jeffrey says he loves a good coffee nap, and Jeff Hudnall says, I love the newspaper headlines that come from the show.
I wish I could write them like Leslie Knope does on Parks and Rec. She just comes up with banger headlines for things, but I can't do that yet. But maybe with practice, I'll be able to do it.
Anne Marie, Kate, River Cat. We had someone from Madrid on Instagram.
Oh yeah, love Madrid. One of the best cities in the world. Maybe they saw my shirt, Doug, and they were commenting on that.
Oh,
maybe they're not actually from there.
They just said Hola Madrid.
Hola Madrid, yeah.
Hola Madrid.
Hola Madrid, yep. Okay, that's what that was. Yeah. Steven usually says that.
Hey Matt, I feel like as I was pulling up Instagram this morning, or just now when I was logging on Instagram, I saw that Jerry Springer died this morning, which is only relevant to us, I think, because for a little while on No Meat Athlete Radio, we did a Doug's Final Thought, or we tried to.
Oh, right. It didn't occur to me. You told me that before the show that this happened, and I mean, we both grew up when he was on TV, and I don't know when he stopped being on TV actually, but
I think he's still going, or was still going.
Was still going.
Maybe
okay.
not. Maybe not.
Wow. Well, good for him if he did it all the way up until when he died. That's right. I forgot. The Final Thought, of course, was Jerry Springer inspired thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we should pour one out for him tonight then.
Yeah.
No word on the cause of death though, right? You said.
No. It was just a little headline that popped up on my phone, so I haven't read any articles about it.
I heard also that the guy from Dancing with the Stars died. Did you know that?
Don't know who that is.
The elderly man. I think maybe Len. I don't know. I don't watch it, but Aaron and Ellery, and sometimes Holden watch it. And Aaron found out, and we had to not tell Ellery because it was the same day that a year anniversary of our dog dying, and we thought it would just be too much for her to have dog's anniversary and Len on the same day. But
it appears that we're hearing on YouTube that prostate cancer might have been cause of death
for Jerry. I see pancreatic cancer.
Maybe pancreatic cancer. Yeah. That's what I meant. Yep.
Same thing. Not same thing.
Not at all the
same. So someone says nutty guy here. I think Aisha. But you and I were just saying. I think we both heard separately that he was like very cool in person. I don't know if he was just like a really nice guy or just really chill, normal guy, but nothing like his on-air persona. So
that's right.
Yeah. So we can honor him in that way. Anyway, other stuff today. Let's see. Well, here's my sleep bit. It's not really that much, but
let's hear it.
The fast, like last night, it's been remarkably good. This one, this is my third time. It just keeps getting easier each time, which is great. But last night was a little suffering last night. I ate some of my food earlier in the day because I just felt like I needed it in the afternoon, and then went to bed feeling kind of hungry and really cold, and I just couldn't sleep. So the whole night was not a good sleep. Woke up at 2:30. Oh, and I also with this fast, like by the end of the day, when you're out of food, you kind of just like saying, I'm done with the day. I just want to go to bed so I can wake up tomorrow and be on to the next day of this thing. And that's what I did. And I went to bed at like 9. But I've learned from my other sleep woes that I can't go to bed at 9. It's terrible if I do that. I end up waking up for hours in the night. So that's what happened, of course. And I was up from 2:30 till 6:30, reading, writing, doing all kinds of stuff, but not sleeping. And then took my daughter to the bus, got a nap for another hour and a half or something. So anyway, that is only how the fasting has, as I said before, I don't sleep well with this thing. But my heart rate like plummeted last night. It went from 47 down to 44. And it's just weird. And same with respiratory rate and one other one. Oh, my recovery index, which is uses your heart rate variability. That's like better as well. So all these good things happen when you fast. But I mean, I don't know. The whole night I did not feel good. Felt like something was wrong. Malnutrition, maybe.
Maybe the fact that you haven't eaten much in in 5 days. That could be it.
But I'm over the hump now. I feel like I'm really in the clear. This is how it always is. The last day, and even the day when you finally can eat food again, you're not in that big of a rush to do it because it's like you're just back. Although I'm excited to have coffee again. That'd be nice.
So are you? You don't eat tonight. You eat tomorrow.
Yeah. I mean, just to be clear, I still eat. It's some soups, 800 calories a day or so. It's very minimal. It doesn't feel much like eating, but there's a bar in there, some little crackers, so it's okay. Also, side note, I've been reading Peter Attia's book, as I've said 100 times on here, Outlive. He talks about fasting. He's got some concerns about it, some skepticism about other things as well. And it's just interesting. I don't know. I've enjoyed the book. He used to be a keto guy, so it's enlightening just to read a book by someone who's sort of from the other camp. Always helps you kind of to see things. He doesn't believe that red meat is linked, truly is a causer of colorectal cancer or carcinogen, as it is classified. And he points out why. And there's some decent reasons why he believes that. And I think the general skepticism is right. But anyway, that doesn't mean I don't think it's right, because I've done more research and I can find more studies that would sort of seem to validate that he doesn't talk about. So, who knows? But anyway, the point is he talks about like some other fasting ideas. And I'm thinking next time I do this Prolon, I'm not going to buy the kit and do the soups and all that. Like they make a big deal about how you can't reconstruct it at home. But it's like, of course they do. But he talks about how he puts people on salad diets, which is just salad with some olive oil and some nuts, and you can still count the calories. I can match the Prolon numbers pretty closely. Right. But I think next time I'm going to try it with the salads instead of soups, because I just get so sick of these soups by the end of it. And
something crunchy and like almost more filling in some ways. Even like a big salad that may be 200 calories would probably be way more filling than a liquidy soup, like a powdered soup.
Yes, in some ways it might be.
Yeah. Mr. Jeffrey wants to know, is the 800 calories based on body composition, gender, activity level, etc.?
It's none of that. That's a great question. It's just for everybody. So this would be very different if you were, if you tip, like, I think my mom only eats like 1,200 calories a day anyway. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's interesting that they haven't adjusted it by that. The one thing you adjust is your drink. They have this thing called L drink. I put mine in here. It's almost like a sports drink. It's some kind of glycerin sugar substance. Not very much. It's like 100 calories in the whole drink. You drink it throughout the day. That you pour in based on your weight. So there's a little bit of changing based on your weight. But
are there any calories in that, or is it just
electrolytes? I think my bottle full of it is like it's a concentrate, and once you dilute it, my amount I think comes out to like 100 calories for the bottle. And if you were, I use about less than half the bottle, so you could get an extra 100 calories from that. So that's one way that they would be controlling for that thing.
I watched a YouTube video the other day about this guy who did a challenge where he was trying to eat 10,000 calories and burn 10,000 calories in 24 hours. See if he could he could do both.
Right.
And he based it off of another guy who had tried it multiple times and failed. And it was actually really fascinating to watch, to see like how much exercise is required to burn 10,000 calories and the types of exercises that were burning more efficiently.
Did he do it in the pool like Michael Phelps to burn more from cold?
He did a little bit of pool. He did a lot of like running, like slow running and walking, a little bit of cycling.
Why would he do different stuff? Why not just one thing? Just because you run out of energy to do that one thing?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and he was doing like 90-minute exercise cycles.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. It was actually really fascinating. He ended up hitting the burning of the 10,000 calories, and had like 90 minutes left to eat another 1,000 calories or something. And he was feeling very confident, obviously, because that doesn't seem too hard. But then his body started like shutting down and convulsing, and he felt really terrible. So he went to bed and didn't finish it.
Wow. That's funny. YouTubers, I mean, I guess it sounds like that was interesting, but it seems like the whole YouTube game now is like, just do the stupidest things you can.
Right.
And people hopefully will watch it. And then people get like kidnapped by terrorist groups and all this because they're over there trying to do.
That's ridiculous. Yeah.
And like how homeless stuff. Like I saw some new one about. I remember the old homeless Fight Club thing was an old one that people didn't like at all. But there's some new one recently that someone got in trouble or arrested or something for some kind of homeless prank. Yeah,
the prank stuff is terrible. It's so bad. I hate it.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, last thing about Prolon is Sky from our Discord group, and often listener. I think she's a podcast listener. She listens during her hard workouts. She's done Prolon 10 times, she said. And she said she was surprised that I was able to do stuff like go to soccer games and be on the show while on it, because she prefers to just sleep. And like I said, you kind of do just want to sleep when you're on it. But Sky, the soups in version 3 are really good. This is like the version 3 of it. And this is the best the soups have been, the most satisfying they've been. So you'll be in for a treat next time you do it. All right. So that's that. The other thing I wanted to shout out from Discord was plant-powered
Wait, what's
Jilly.
this Ed Sheeran
Okay,
note?
well, hold on. Let me tell plant-powered
Okay.
Jilly. Yesterday I mentioned how the Discord people were starting a book club. This Peter Attia book is the first one they're doing, which is awesome. Plant-powered Jilly has recommended a recipe club where one every month there's a recipe that is chosen, and everyone makes it, whoever wants to participate, and shares their pictures and shares their stuff. So anyway, more good stuff happening in the Discord. People, grassroots movements happening. So
NoMadeAthlete.com/Discord to join.
Yes. If you're not over there, then you need to get your priorities straight, because it's just it's good. It's a good time over there. Good stuff. All right. Ed Sheeran, and then Plant-Based Addict, who's been on our show before, he's got a question in Instagram. So let's quickly talk about that, and then we'll talk about Ed Sheeran, and then we'll move on.
Okay.
Well, we may not get to any plant-based anything today. Well, I mean, this is plant-based, but no, it's okay. We don't have too much content. It's good stuff. It's not going to take that long, what we have later. So he says, what's Peter's reasoning for non-causal link to unprocessed red meat and colorectal cancer based on the burden of proof study? If so, his statement is false. The study only found no causal link when consumption is below 100 grams per day average. Once you consume more, risk goes up across the board. So this, I'm not going to do a good job of summarizing it. I only read it once. I think it's the RR is the statistical term for I think it's relative risk factor, was found to be 1.17, meaning a 17% increase in, if you ate this much red meat, I don't know how much they were looking at, then you have this increased risk of cancer. And it was a 17% what they got. And he says in a single study like that, and including one that is an observational study, or not a clinical trial, because it's hard to actually, I'm not positive this wasn't a clinical trial, but I'm pretty sure it was observational. In either one of those, when it comes to nutrition and you're looking at longer term things, you've got reporting issues, right? Because you can't keep people locked up for years and confirm that they're only taking in this amount of food. And so anyway, he said, because of all this uncertainty that surrounds nutrition stuff in general, a single study showing only a 17% increased chance is not enough. And he said that would apply. And he mentions other times in the book when he doesn't sort of take that amount of evidence seriously with other things. So that's the gist of it. There's like 9 criteria that some other researcher has kind of just said when it comes to observational studies. Again, I don't know if this was observational, but when it comes to them, you want to see these other things, like, is there a mechanism by which it's probably happening? Are there other studies that are confirming it, et cetera, et cetera? And they have 9 different sort of things they'll look at. And he says only a few of those, or none of those are satisfied here or something. So that's his reason. Like I said, I'm not defending that at all, because when I looked, I found some more studies that he didn't mention at all that did seem to confirm that. Although some have showed no association or very weak association, and we've got to acknowledge that those are there as well. So I think his point is just general, not enough evidence yet. Fair,
I'm
Doug?
impressed, Matt. You're 5 days into this fast, so that was really well said, and
right.
had some numbers in it, and
You're
everything.
Right. You're right. I probably made a mistake in there somewhere, but so yeah, I'd be curious though, Plant-Based Addict, to know to hear what you're saying, or more details. So feel free to send those over. I will definitely read them, and perhaps revisit this.
Yep.
Alrighty, and then Ed Sheeran, I just happened to see in Morning Brew today. We like lawsuits here. We like pop stars. We like things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Ed Sheeran is being sued by another guy named Ed Townsend, the co-writer of Marvin Gaye. Apparently, Ed Sheeran's "Thinking Out Loud" song, they're saying allegedly, is a ripoff of "Let's Get It On." And I think everybody knows these 2 songs. So this is a monumental.
How does "Thinking Out Loud" go?
Thinking out loud.
Yeah.
Right. So
yeah. Okay. All right.
Anyway, the allegation is that he copy and pasted a 4-chord progression from the song. Copy and paste obviously is just the modern slang for ripping off. A 4-chord progression. So I have a minor. Well, I was going to say I have a minor music background. I actually have a minor in music industry. That was my minor in college. And I learned all about legal things with music. I don't remember if it's from this or previous band experience, but my thought, or I know I've heard this before, is that you can't trademark a chord progression or copyright. I should say. You can't copyright a chord progression. A melody, sure, the exact recording, of course, but a chord progression you can't be true. And there's a billion songs of every single chord progression you can think of, especially one that's only 4 chords long.
Sure, that's probably like G, C, D, and
right.
E
And this one must be. I mean, because they're talking about it, I only learned about this morning. Ed Sheeran, one of his defenses was that there are many songs that over a dozen songs that use the same chord progression. So it must not be a very common one if there are only a dozen, because if you have C, A minor, F, G, there's
according to ultimateguitar.com, it's C, F, G, D minor, and A minor. I think almost every pop song has at least 3 of those.
So the D minor is a little weird in there if it's in key of C. Not that D minor doesn't belong in the key of C, but it's just I don't hear that much.
It's key of D, according to this. Although every tab's website is a little different. So
okay, I'm not that good then to know the key of G. I think G is the 4th of D, so that would be common. Have a major 4th or have a 4th. C then would be a 7th, and I think usually the 7th chord is diminished in the major scale. I think
I don't know. I don't know my scales.
So that would be sort of a standout, difference there. Someone who went not sticking right to the major scale. Some music person here can surely correct me if I'm wrong, or can applaud me if I'm correct. So anyway,
the D major scale is D, E, F sharp.
Yeah, I know what the scale is, but you need to look at the chord, the natural chord structure in there, the triads is the 7th chord. I think it's diminished. This is the worst content we've ever done on the show.
Anyway, Ed Sheeran's getting sued for his chord progression.
Yeah, and so he has he even in his concert has done a mashup where he plays both songs together, which is fine. People do it all the time because it's not. Yeah. It happens all the time that songs have the same chord progression. So I don't quite get it. Maybe it's just that never has a chord progression been enough basis for a lawsuit to win. But it still could happen. I don't know. So anyway, kind of interesting. I don't think those songs sound that similar at all to me. So I don't think this is I'd throw this one right out from the judge.
Let's get it on. Is that what the song was?
Yeah, that's the Marvin Gaye one.
Let's get it on. All right, we've kind of lost it today, I think.
Yeah, they're both pretty good songs.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
I really want to hear I want to hear an actual music person, and I know we've got some. Tell me about the chord thing, but anyway, all right.
I learned in the Discord. Speaking of music person, that you were in the marching band at Boston College. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I was. I played the timpani, which I didn't march because the timpani are stationary in the front in the pit. But when we did concerts or when we did parades, we marched, and the pit people played the cymbals, and it wasn't that fun to do the cymbals, and it also was just torture for your forearms. It was just so tiring to have to hold those things up.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, that's a little bit of music bit here. I have drums and guitar and bongos and piano and things in here. Not all in this room, but a lot of them in this room. So it's a hobby that I don't do nearly enough nowadays. Okay, let's get back to the show here, Doug, instead of our private conversation. All right. Jen Fornell asked a great question. I'm not going to do it today because we're out of time for that kind of stuff. We'll talk about it tomorrow. She wants to know about Tim Ferriss's slow carb diet and some thoughts on it. I actually kind of think it's interesting. I'd be curious in trying something like it again now. Of course, a vegan version. So we'll get to that tomorrow. But let's get into the weather report. A good weather report today. These are fun. Here we go. Doug's dancing. Music must be on. All right, everyone's favorite plant-based vegan advertising company, Oatly. They should have their own little advertising agency where they just write vegan ads. They've teamed up with Swiss International Airlines to offer a vegan coffee drink, the Oatly Cafe Latte, on board all flights. Not too much to say. Soy-free, nut-free, 100% fair trade. It doesn't say whether it's free. I would imagine it costs money. This is like in a can. But man, I'd be pretty excited if I got on a plane and found out that was an option for me to get. I think I'd get that regardless of cost. Well, as long as it was under $10. I'd be pretty excited about that.
Even though it was Oatly? Your least favorite brand?
Despite Oatly. Yeah, I could put that aside. The fact that their ads are just dumb. I mean, it's not with their product. It's just that generally don't like their ads.
Well, yeah, I think that's cool.
You always drink these things, don't you? Don't you always get like canned latte things?
Don't I always get canned latte
I
things?
thought you did, like Califia Farms.
Yeah, I mean, when I'm running a 100-miler, that was the context of me saying that.
You just seem to have a familiarity with this type of product.
Okay. No, I haven't had this one, but I would if it was on an airplane or not. If I was in a gas station and needed to pick me up.
Yeah,
give it a go.
That's what I mean. Yeah, good. You ever get like not at home canned nitro coffee?
I have a couple times, and I've always been disappointed by it.
I did once, and I was disappointed.
Yeah, it's never as good. I love nitro coffee from the coffee shop. I mean, man, that stuff is so good. Anything nitro.
Everything nitro is great. Yep, we probably made that joke before. They should have nitro water. I think that would even be delicious. The smooth texture.
Yeah.
We should make that.
We should make that. We should cut this out of the podcast. Water. Somebody's gonna be used to it. Yeah. Forget what you just heard. Yeah, but in a can it just never has worked out. Even though Guinness in a can was fine.
Right. Do the canned coffees have that little widget in there?
I don't know. Good question. Not sure.
They must. I mean, if it's calling it nitro, they must.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, this one's quick. So Delicious, dairy free. We all know the brand So Delicious. They do coconut yogurts and milks and things. They are launching a new oat milk, or organic oat milk. Their first foray into the booming oat milk category. So watch out, Oatly, I guess. And finally, Veg News. This is from Veg News. Good one today. Reports that Caribou Coffee is dropping their vegan upcharge for in-app purchases. Caribou is part of the Panera Group. I used to love Caribou. They were near an apartment that I lived in, and I would frequent it, and I really enjoyed their coffee. Now I don't like it so much; a little over roasted to me. But I think Mr. Jeffrey might be a big Caribou fan. Somebody here is a big Caribou fan. They mentioned it the other day, at least. They mentioned that one was near them, and they were going to go get something. That to me is
classic Matt Frazier. You say one thing one time, and then all of a sudden you become the guy who loves that thing.
True. Okay. Anyway, so you have to be a member of the program, unfortunately.
Oh, and they're not really,
and it's only in the app. Yeah. They're.
Oh.
Aaron Newkirk, Chief Brand and Marketing Officer, said choosing milk or a dairy alternative is an important and sometimes necessary customization, and it's not one that should cost more. Okay, so she's not saying choosing a dairy alternative, choosing milk or the dairy alternative, either one. If you're going to put that in your coffee, it shouldn't cost more. But
we're still going to charge you more for it.
But it's only for the app. Yeah, only in the app will you be able to actually do that, and you got to be a member. But apparently they're this is front and center for them, and they're in the future they will keep moving in the direction of whatever. So I guess it's good news. Kind of more pressure on Starbucks. Really, is what this is all about. Did I say that Caribou Coffee is a member of the Panera Group?
You did not.
Yeah,
I read that, but
okay. Yeah, I didn't know that. Kind of interesting. Maybe that would mean that this would happen in more places than just this eventually. And the other thing is, that 20% of the beverages are customized with oat or almond milk. That's kind of a lot. I think.
Customized with what?
With oat or almond milk. And I assume that's their only two plant-based choices. But still, 20% of beverages getting that is pretty good.
Yeah.
I think.
Hey, have you heard about this Coffee Wars film Matt Tolman shared?
No.
On the site the other day?
Nope.
A film for coffee lovers. It's about this movement. All right. Oh man, I should have done a little more research. You can watch it right now on Prime Video, but it's trying to make latte. I'm gonna stop talking about it. I'm gonna talk about it tomorrow. I'm gonna do a little research and talk about it tomorrow.
All right, probably a good move. I like it. We'll all just be titillated though for tomorrow. What's to come? Okay. Onto the stuff. The index. We got some science today. This is not just this is not Best Life Online. I didn't even look at Best Life Online today or eat this, not that. Just good old Food Navigator and Food Navigator USA, 2-for-1 deal today. Both around plant-based products, as Doug, we love to call them, right? Not plant-based foods, meaning not fruits and vegetables and actual good plant foods, but meat mockeries and dairy mockeries.
Yes.
First one is I'd say positive news in that realm. The headline is meat alternatives made from plants or mycoprotein can lower bad cholesterol, finds research. So I guess mycoprotein, which is the mushroom root system, I guess that doesn't count as plants, which is that right? Fungi are like different from the plant kingdom. We're getting into a lot of topics here, Doug. This is like a quiz show.
Yeah, and so far I'm in lots of misses. All right. Now we know fungi do not belong in the plant kingdom. That's right. In fact, fungi are spread across other kingdoms.
Okay.
3 other kingdoms.
Okay. Good. All right. So anyway, that's not the point. The point here is that they say swapping out meat with plant-based alternatives is likely to benefit cholesterol levels, and over a 2-year period could reduce the risk of developing heart disease by a quarter, say researchers. Now, we just talked earlier about some of the limitations of this kind of research. This is actually a meta-analysis, and that would be better than any single study. And I believe, at least what Peter Attia was saying, was that thing was a single study. So meta-analysis is good. So they didn't do any new, studying here other than study what's already been done, but they combined, I think, 12 different studies looking at these plant-based meats and what happens. And the upshot of all of it, and this is pretty good, is that meat alternative consumption reduced total cholesterol by 0.5 point, but that's measured in millimoles per liter, and LDL cholesterol by 0.39 millimoles per liter when compared to omnivorous diets. I had to look this up because I was thinking that's not very significant at all. It turns out typically we measure, I think, in moles per deciliter, but so the conversion is that you multiply it by 16 or so. So that's about 8 points decrease of LDL. No, total cholesterol, and something like 6 points or so decrease in your LDL when compared to omnivorous diets. This, like, maybe that doesn't sound like that much to me, because I think people, when we look at LDLs, they're in the, 100, 130, gets higher than that. You're starting to get into high zone. I think better is 80, 70, whatever. Anyway, so 8 points on there, or 6 points, that's not nothing at all, right? That could be 10% of your total.
Yeah.
And that's a pretty good swap, especially considering that, like, I couldn't see what they were saying as far as what mix, because the mycoprotein stuff that I've had doesn't have saturated fat added to it, or at least not very much at all. But if you get a Beyond Burger or an Impossible Burger, that's
right. There's
a lot of coconut oil in there.
Mm-hmm.
And so that would, by a lot of people's opinion, not everybody, and I think really it comes down to individual differences. I think some people just don't respond that badly to saturated fat, and some people do in terms of their lipid profile. But anyway, I mean, this is so we don't know the exact mix, unfortunately. I guess because they're looking at a whole lot of studies, they're not even picking a certain mix of how much of each one we're talking about. But the point is that even these things that I think one of the big downsides is the saturated fat content, there's still an improvement over eating red meat burgers. So this is a positive. It doesn't answer all my concerns, because I've got some other concerns, and so does the industry. The other concerns out there are, let's see, I guess the soy, I don't have it in mind, whatever the non-heme or the heme iron thing is that Impossible does to make it bloody. People don't like that. That's something people, long-term effects of that are not known. Sodium very high. That's soy I don't know, like hemoglobin it's called. Anyways, people don't like that. Also the carrageenan, is that what it is? Carrageenan. My brain, sorry, starting to slow down. Also, people don't like that. That's, I think, unfairly, but some people don't like that. So anyway, there's some problems here. But this idea of that this can be good, or basically this shows that it's good for your heart health compared to regular meat. At least as far as we can say based on this. So good news.
I think, yeah, it is great news. It's very good news. And I think, this is kind of the research that we have been looking for, I guess, as the plant-based meat industry has boomed. There's always been this kind of question of, like, is it really any healthier for you, or is it really any better for you? Obviously there's still some questions out there, but I think this is very positive, and hopefully this is kind of just the beginning of the type of research we're doing on plant-based meats, and not just whole foods, because we know so much about the whole food plant-based diet or real food plant-based diet. But this, I don't know, this is great.
Yeah,
they do call out some limitations. In the study, not all of them were blind. For example, trying to remember what else. Do you remember the other ones?
No, but I did see that. It's not different from what I said before, that a lot of these are observational, perhaps, where people fill out surveys and say how much they've had of things and all that. But perhaps some of them are actually some of them are clinical trials, because they mentioned some later. For the 8-week period, this is some other research that I think this was at least partly based on some of the studies that they used here. First of all, Beyond Meat in 2021 established a 5-year research program. Their first clinical trial was one of the happened. They looked at adults who alternated between 8 weeks consuming animal protein 2 or more times a day and 8 weeks consuming Beyond Meat products 2 or more times a day. And in that, they found a statistically and clinically significant drop in LDL cholesterol. Of course, keep in mind this is sponsored by Beyond Meat, so you got to take it with a grain of salt in that case. Also, a decline in TMAO, which is important, found in the gut, associated with heart disease and certain cancers. So there's perhaps your mechanism for colorectal cancer, which would help to substantiate the thing we talked about earlier. Anyway, I mean, yeah, all good. Nobody addresses my textured protein. It seems that the industry is not concerned about that the way that I am. So hopefully I'm alone in that one. And if I do some more research, I'll find out it's not the concern that I think it is.
If you might know this, if a product has textured protein in it, does it actually say textured protein? Does it have to say that, or like?
I don't know. That's a good question. A lot of times you'll see it, but I'm pretty sure, like with a Beyond Burger or something, it just says pea protein, right?
Yeah. So like last night, I tried a new vegan meat called Rolling Greens plant-based meat.
Okay.
It was like this dehydrated chorizo stuff that you put in the pan and add a little bit of water and salted it up. And it was pretty good. It was pretty good. A little chewy and but had good flavor to it, lots of heat. But I was looking at the ingredients, and the first ingredient is just pea protein. I was wondering if that was textured protein or not. And I don't know.
Yeah, that is a good question. As you were saying that, I've seen that the Beyond Burger pea protein is their second ingredient. Does not say textured on it, but some of these things do say textured. So I don't know if that has to be called out certain times and not always. Would like to know more about that though. Yep. Sounds to me like Rolling Greens needs to poach one of the Oatly advertising people and do a little better branding than first of all, Rolling Greens and then Me Eat. Is that what you said?
Rolling Greens appears to be the company name, and the product is the meat, MEE-eat.
Okay, maybe they've already gotten some from Oatly, and that's how they came up with that name.
Yeah,
would be my guess.
But it did seem weird that the Rolling Greens is putting together a meat, but whatever. Yeah. We got some. All right, we have Leah on Instagram says that textured vegetable protein is just soybeans that are processed a bit more than tofu.
So that would be great news to me if the whole hubbub around TVP that I remember from early No Meat Athlete days, like 2011, maybe 2010. If all that was soy fears because it was soy and tofu like, that I'm not afraid of at all. That I think is no reason to have those fears. And I think soy is good for you. My understanding was that the texturization, that process was doing something. And, the 3D printing, right? That might even be another layer, another level deeper here in terms of actually changing stuff. Crimping and coiling, texturizing techniques can include bulk. I just Googled this. Can include bulking, where thermoplastic fibers are twisted, heat set, and untwisted. I think they're talking about the food here, not the fibers. Crimping and coiling, amongst others. So I don't know if this all goes for food, but I would imagine they're using that term because it's the same sort of process. So anyway, I don't know. That's what I'm concerned about. Right? Does that change something fundamental about the food, that the way our body's going to deal with it? I don't know.
Well, there seem to be a lot of kind of questions here. Back on Instagram, Janet says that I thought it was defatted. not sure though. And then on YouTube, Mr. Jeffrey says that it usually comes from soy, but not always. And then Danielle says, I love Mycoprotein, but I was reading concerns about some people may become allergic to it since it's not consumed frequently in most diets.
Interesting. Yeah, that's possible. Yeah, I mean, if I had to pick one, I'd go with Mycoprotein for sure. It just sounds way more like an actual food. I mean, it doesn't sound like it, but when you learn what it is, it's a lot more like a real food. Anyway, yeah, I don't know for sure about that. I don't know that my fears are valid with around this TDP thing. I need to learn more about that. Anyway, speaking of fears, this has been another one recently for me. And by the way, relates to this. That fear comes from, I think we said this yesterday. In general, high-tech food has not proven to be good, right? When this whole industrial food complex that has started, first of all, has messed up a lot about regular agriculture, even food that doesn't appear high-tech. But when we get into high-tech foods, the track record is not a good one. We eventually seem to learn that they're not very good for us. I'm not saying that will always be the case forever. Hopefully we can advance beyond that, where our technology actually creates good food, healthy food, I should say. But like that's another reason, just in general, to be worried about, turning plants into things that taste so much like burgers. It's just weird and have the same texture as burger. It's high tech, and the higher tech it gets, the weirder it is. Yesterday we had a discussion about whether that or the cultivated meat, which is higher tech but somehow almost oddly more natural because they're growing the cells of the animals, which I understand that sounds not natural at all. On the other hand, but which one will be more healthy? And I think most people seem to go with the cultivated meat as the healthier choice. Anyway, this new one from Food Navigator USA says consumer interest in animal-free dairy builds, but many still have questions about processing and safety. And it's not shocking results. It's just that it has matched my own thinking recently, because I've started to think more about this stuff. I've wondered, why am I not afraid of the animal-free whey protein? Because I do take that, use that. I give it to my son. He uses it as well. It's really good. It makes it's really nice for a chocolate protein drink after a workout or whatever, which you may or may not need, but I like having it. It's just kind of fun. I don't know, maybe just a mindset thing. Anyway, it's not that people were so afraid of this. They said 70.5% of consumers globally said they would probably or definitely buy animal-free dairy cheese. 49.8% said they would regularly purchase it, which is a big number. The USA was slightly less enthusiastic. Not surprising. We've seen that with all kinds of plant-based products, especially compared to Europe. 54% said they would buy animal-free dairy cheese. 28% said they were unsure, and 19% said they would not. And there were apparently not a lot of people who were like overly excited about it. I don't know where that measure is, but not a lot of people saying, okay, not equally rare was unabashed enthusiasm for the product, reported the researchers. So I was hoping that there'd actually be some stuff in here, because I was starting to think, like, I'm told what I know about this stuff is that it's molecularly equivalent to dairy. To whey protein from dairy. And whey protein, in my understanding, is the healthier part of the milk protein, right? The casein and other stuff like that is the more dangerous part. So I'm thinking, like, this is molecularly equivalent, therefore I don't need to be afraid of this as like a high-tech food. But then I was like, it's the marketers that are saying this is molecularly equivalent. It's not, I haven't read any science saying this is the case, or that what that even means, right? Maybe there are certain allowances where it's the same molecular, structure, whatever, the same number of, who knows what, carbon, hydrogen, all the different things that make up the molecules. Maybe that's the same, but maybe it's arranged exactly the same, but there's some other, thing about it that is different.
Right. I mean, it has to be something different, right?
You would think so. And it's produced by precision fermentation. So it is microbes, fermenting some kind of input to create this. So, I have no idea where I stand on it. I've been just sort of assuming it's all good, but now I'm just really not sure at all. So anyway, I Googled more. I couldn't find anything about more specifics than that, about people questioning this and what might be the concerns. So I don't know if there are any that are actual concern. Maybe it really is truly equivalent, and people are just freaked out because it's high-tech food. So anyway, I don't know where I stand on it, but people are concerned.
People are concerned, and but they're interested in it, which I think is a good thing, right? I mean, like, hopefully we can address some of those concerns. We can do some research. We can look into some of those questions that people have, because I mean, obviously, it's a great thing that what is it? 54% saying they would buy it, and 54% or 70% said they would buy it, and almost 50% saying they would buy it regularly. So I mean, that's a great thing.
Or sorry,
In Europe.
globally. Yeah, right. It is great. The headline makes it seem like it's a lot worse. It's really not. It's just that some people have concerns. So anyway, I mean, my conclusion here is like that I probably shouldn't keep using it as a protein powder, only because my rule typically with these things is that when you're not sure about something, or you know a food is not good for you, like, and then we don't know that here, but if you did know if there's a certain junk food you really like I just try to not build that stuff into habitual things, especially not habitual health practices, right? Like eating a protein drink, drinking a protein drink, that's a health thing, right? Or a physique or whatever. So like it's habitual. If it's every day or several times a week, like then if turns out to be a bad food, I'm going to really regret that I had it that frequently.
Right.
Whereas with it, when it comes to these plant protein burgers, like that fear to me is less, because that's not going to become something I eat twice a week. Although I was doing that. But nowadays much less. So like it's just not more of a habitual thing. It's a now and then. So now and then, eat whatever you want to me. I mean, you got ethical issues, obviously you got to deal with that. But as far as health goes, now and then, to me, it just doesn't matter what you eat. If you're talking about once a month or something like that. But anything that's like you're building into your diet on purpose, you better, I don't know. I think err on the side of caution in those cases.
Mr. Jeffries says something that resonates really well with me, which is I'm not afraid of high tech or processed food at all. Maybe I'm just desensitized to it with my experience in the food industry. I default to Whole Foods, but I want something, I'll have it. And honestly, like that's kind of been my experience. I mean, like I understand these concerns. I feel like most of my diet, 80% of my diet is Whole Foods and not none of this processed stuff. And so like I just like having it even with some regularity a couple times a week just doesn't feel like I'm putting myself at risk of anything too crazy.
And even with kids, you don't have a added level that would say that, they've got a lot of years of developmental time to be habitually having that.
No, because they're not eating it every day. I mean, because my kids' main protein source is beans, and so I don't know. Like, I honestly worry more about them not getting enough protein or enough omegas and not getting enough of the stuff that comes with, that is important for children in those early development years. That is not as prominent in a plant-based diet. And so like, I worry about that more than I do, a Beyond Nugget every, once or twice a week.
Right. But that's underselling a little bit, right? Beyond Nugget once or twice a week. It's a little more than that, right?
Well, it's not a nugget, right? I mean, it's
a
couple nuggets.
Right. So
5 nuggets, 6 nuggets a week, maybe. I don't know,
Yeah. Plus Impossible sausage maybe on Sundays.
Yeah, sure.
So anyway, I get what you're saying. Like these you're talking about known risks, and these are real known risks and real things to be concerned about. Protein, you can argue about. Not everyone agrees with that, but I kind of do. I think protein is more important maybe than we kind of like to admit. So I think the thing is, you're more concerned about known risks. I'm more concerned about unknown risks, things that come as a surprise later. It's like, oh, wait a minute, this wasn't good for us all along. And that's probably just a difference in whatever personality, really. They're just, a risk.
I mean,
profile.
there's like so much of me that, and this isn't good, right? I mean, obviously you want to feed your kids and yourself the best diet possible, but I find myself oftentimes like comparing to like our friends' meals and stuff like that, and the amount of processed junk that they eat compared to my kids, and like, who knows what's in that who knows what's in their Kraft mac and cheese, or who knows what's in the the cookies that they're eating. Like no one knows, and no one's like questioning it. I mean, obviously we're questioning it, but like most people aren't questioning it. And so I'm like, if my kids want to eat a little bit of that from time to time, like, of the vegan, processed vegan food. I don't know. I just feel like it's so much better. So maybe it's just justifying it, and that could be the wrong way to think about it, right? It could be the wrong way to do it. But I'm like justifying those foods because comparatively speaking, they eat so much healthier than many of their friends do.
Yep, that is true. Again, it's a mindset difference. Like my interpretation of that is I question all that food, all that processed food. I think who knows what's in that stuff? Who knows what that does to you? We just don't know. So like, why wouldn't I apply that same reasoning to the foods that we choose to have that? But it does come down to what is a reasonable amount, because it's not like I avoid that stuff 100% at all. We have it, I don't know, now probably every 2 weeks. So it's not at all like we just don't have it. You know, every day I'd be much more worried about than twice a week. I don't know. Who knows? And thankfully people are looking at this stuff. We see there's positive stuff for the heart health now. So that's great. But yeah, I don't know. It's one of these things. Unknowns. You gotta do with what's comfortable.
Definitely.
All right. Some comments are happening here, and then we'll get out of here. I'm gonna read Mr. Jeffries just because someone said so true. So it must be good. He said, we have to teach kids to have a good relationship with food. If we teach them food are good and bad, then when they are adults, they won't know how to have a balance. It's like kids of the diet era. Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of truth to that. I definitely agree with that in many ways. Perhaps my behavior around these foods isn't that way. But I don't know, because even if we're saying this is not healthy for you, but we still demonstrate that we have it every now and then, you know, I don't know. But I do agree. Like, you know, saying this is good, this is bad, it tends to lead to rebellion, right? The opposite behavior. If you tell kids that you can't do anything, then once they go off on their own, they just do that thing.
But you can't educate them on like these are healthy foods for you that will help you do good things, right? And you want to eat them. I mean, we've been talking a lot about fiber with my girls recently, and so we've been like finding the most fiber rich foods that we can, and like and so I mean, you know, I don't see anything wrong with like highlighting a food and like building up a food that's good for you.
Right. I think that is correct. All right, good. We will leave it there. Good show. Especially for day 5 of the fast. I'm surprised I didn't do worse.
I think you actually were on top of it a little bit more.
Like I said, mental clarity, insights. Anyway, tomorrow we've got a question that we'll answer about the slow carb diet. I'll do a little more research on that as well. And
I'm gonna research the
oh yeah, your thing.
Coffee wars.
Good. All right. Sounds good. Well, thanks for joining us, everyone. Thanks for contributing, especially to the conversation. That is always great. From Instagram and YouTube. That's awesome. And we will be back tomorrow. Till then, we'll see you in the Discord.
Absolutely.
And otherwise, have a great Thursday.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
All right. Bye.